our next guest. He is Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Dr. Agrawal is professor at NTPC School of Business. He is the former professor of Marketing, Innovation and Management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI Jamshedpur, and California State University, USA. He is president of Indo-Gulf Marketing Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow, Boston. He is also EFMD Fellow from Paris and British Council Fellow, London. In 2019, he was ranked among about the new education policy. Dr. Mohan Lal Agrawal, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lal, and thank you very much for giving me the ring seat to listen to so many erudite vice chancellors and former vice chancellors. I also join them in welcoming the new education policy. However, I see it in three different ways. Number one, and number two, I would like to focus only on higher education, because that is the area where we all belong to and where we can make difference. So why do I welcome this education policy? I see this a revisit of the early years of 90s when Dr. Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh gave us what we called the second freedom of India, or the second independence of India in terms of economics, where he liberalized India and brought India to a point where we can say what we are saying about the Indian economy today. I would say that the new education policy is the third independence of India. And this third independence is because now the minds of India have been liberated. The education has liberated each and every person, each and every institution involved in the design and delivery of education. So this is the third freedom movement, or you could say freedom that has been won by India. Let me say one more point. If the Dr. Manmohan Singh and others, they were doing liberalization and globalization, then this education policy is doing something what is everywhere liked, and that is called globalization. Globalization means that you are bringing global thinking and local action. You are bringing the best in the world and also trying to adapt it to the country that we are in. So this is the local method of providing education in this country, and nobody can have objection. While somebody can have objection to localization, others may have objections to globalization, but globalization always find admirers because you are marrying the best of the two worlds. And that is this particular policy is all about. For instance, the very fact that the government has said that the top 100 universities of the world will be allowed in our country. This shows that there is a process of bringing globalization. At the same time, they are bringing the emphasis back to research, bringing research at the highest level, which means localization of that part is also there. So nobody can dominate the other person because we are bringing the best for the best of the country. That's why I call the second point. The third point in any policy reform is that you need to put money where your mouth is. And this particular education policy has brought in 6% of GDP of this country. Now imagine that tomorrow or by 225, when if we are lucky and we get this 5 trillion economy, then 5 trillion economy is 6% becomes almost like $300 billion. And $300 billion is actually the economy of the entire UAE today. The one UAE, that is Dubai, and this will become together as a part of that. So imagine the resources that will be there. That is a wonderful thing that you are breaking it down to each and every person or each and every student for each and every day. But if you take the aggregate figure itself, that aggregate figure is almost like equal to what we have foreign reserves in this country. So imagine the strength that foreign reserves are given, and imagine the strength the system will have when you are providing $300 billion. Now let me go to the higher education system. I see that this particular policy has brought changes at 4 levels. Level number 1 is the design, level number 2 is the delivery, level number 3 is governance, and level number 4 is autonomy. DDGA. Let me explain this design. The very fact that the master system has been made 1 year in accordance with the master programs throughout the world, which means that our students and their students both will have a synergy. We will be able to accommodate lot many people coming from outside, having done 1 year master program into our system, and our system students will also be able to go into their system because there is a parity of 1 year. I'm talking about master program. Let's take the bachelor program itself. The bachelor program has been made 4 years. Now, the very fact that you are saying multi-entry, multi-exit is a phenomenal thing, because what you have done, that you have suddenly catapulted a student from a receiver to a co-producer category. Who is a receiver? A receiver is, I give you, you take it. Who is a co-producer? A co-producer is one who engages you as a learner, as a student in equal capacity. And both of them produce things for the benefit of each other. So imagine that you have got a student who completes only 1 year, you are giving him a certificate. That particular person completes 2 years, you give him a diploma. When he completes the third, you give him a degree. And when you give the fourth, you give him a research degree. Now, what a wonderful thing that in a way you are making a person feel valued at different points of time, and therefore there is a very, very clear focus back on student as a customer, not as a receiver. The moment you make education accountable to the customer, like in any economic system, education system will also change, because you are taking into account the aspirations, expectations, and accountability to the students as a customer. And therefore that particular point will come through this particular policy. So now let's take the third thing. The third thing which I believe has been left out, in my opinion, has been left out, but it probably will come with the passage of time. And I'm talking about this MPhil and PhD degree. Look at this MPhil. It has been abolished. No problem. I can understand that particular bridge degree was probably not providing the kind of value that it should have provided. But let's go to PhD as a result. In the case of PhD, no such multiple entry, no such multiple exit has been provided. Like for instance, many of the IIMs and XLRI or any of the top management schools, they provide you something to go out if you are not able to complete your PhD in the given number of years. Either, I mean, it is like almost like, I would say, a kind of a gambler that the winner takes all, the loser loses all. That is not the thing. In fact, this entire thing has been changed now in the case of PhD system. And I believe there should have been multiple entry system as well as multiple exit systems there also. For instance, if suppose you join PhD and you have done coursework for 1 year or 2 years, then probably you should also go out with some certification or the same credit bank, the credit bank which has been created in this particular system. That credit bank could also be used by a PhD student who couldn't work with one university but goes to another university. That particular credit bank of the courses will be used by the other university for your PhD program. As a result, PhD will become outcome oriented, learning oriented, productive, rather than at this particular point. The PhD is perhaps the least, I'm sorry to say this, exciting programs, even though everybody wants to do that. So this is the second. Third, if suppose a person has completed a couple of years and with due diligence, with a due examination, why can't we give MPhil to that person who had joined PhD but wasn't found suitable or couldn't do it for personal and professional reasons, and therefore that person could also get some kind of certification the same way as we are giving to the bachelors. While in the bachelors we are providing certification, at the PhD level, no such particular thing has been suggested. So this is one thing which I believe has left or has been left for reforms. Another thing, there is a very, very close coordination between industry and academics in the case of PhD. Why? Because we bring them back, and we also there is a very, very close coordination between industry as well as the academics. And this new economic policy recognizes that. Not only recognizes it, actually it honors it. Not only it honors it, it values it. Now, this particular thing could also be done at the level of the PhD program, where the practicing the people could also be brought into this particular system or taken out of it. Right now, in India, we have got two kinds of PhD, professional PhD and academic PhD. For me, this kind of distinction is a labored distinction. It is not a correct, distinction, and there is a very, very good area for reforms from that point of view also. So from higher education point of view, I will not go into other education, and I think my very, very learned colleagues have done that in greater detail. I would not go there. I would only go to the higher education. And in the higher education system, I believe that this particular government has done a phenomenal job. It has created an integration between academics and industry. At some point of time, we used to hear a very, very pejorative meaning, almost insulting sentence. And that insulting sentence was that those who do, those who cannot do, become teachers. I think this is one of the most pejorative things that we had ever heard. I believe now we can say that those who do, and those who know how to do it better, they become teachers. This is another way of changing yourself, the perception of the teachers at the higher